on to our main topic today. Full spoilers for Spider-Man Homecoming. So if you have not seen the movie, pause it here, bookmark it, and go to the movies and go see it, and then come back and listen to this.
Please go see it.
We will
Seriously.
We will be spoiling everything.
Give it more money.
For example, Spider-Man dies at the end of this.
Yeah, everyone's dead.
Madam Web shows up. It's weird.
Yeah, a symbiote, like three
No joke,
symbiotes.
I'd be totally into that, Madam Web. Yeah.
Symbiotes. No symbiotes.
Anyway, so let's get some initial thoughts, guys. Sparks first. Thoughts, Spider-Man Homecoming.
I thought it was cool.
Okay.
Oh.
Ryan.
I thought it was better than cool. I thought it was pretty cool.
Ben.
I want to see it
Always
again.
got to one-up me.
I was thinking about one-upping you guys, but like, nah, I did that earlier.
It sounded like I liked it more than you, so I just wanted to make sure I got that out. That's all.
I want to see it again. I really want to see this movie again.
Yeah, it was really great. Really, really liked it after his debut in Civil War, which was really strong. It was nice to see just an equally strong film.
I love how they even put scenes of him in Civil War, or kind of sort of put scenes of him in Civil War.
The first 15 minutes are documentation of him in Germany and stuff.
Well, so let's talk about that. So the beginning, so we start with
Vulture.
Right after Avengers. It looks like a couple days after Avengers. It's Adrian Toomes' construction company. They're taking down. They got a city contract. They're taking down the Chitauri weaponry and the
those giant snake monsters that are in the sky. They're trying to take those out.
What are they called? Leviathans?
Yeah, Leviathan. You're right.
And then Damage Control shows up.
Yeah,
and
there, dude. It's like that's a sweet cut just for me.
The second I saw Damage Control, I'm like, Ryan finally got it, because for months you were like, where's Damage Control? Where is Damage Control?
Well, remember they announced a TV show.
Yep, they did.
Yeah. And then that didn't happen.
Nope.
It's good enough.
Probably because Powerless didn't do well.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they were similar premises
Yeah.
initially. So then Damage Control comes in and
Shuts them down.
And so then they decide, hey, we're gonna do something. And then a curious thing happens. It skips 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years, guys. And I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw that, my heart skips a beat because I was like, oh shit, I'm old.
Yeah.
It's been 8 years since I saw Avengers.
No.
Wait a minute. No, Avengers came out in 2012.
Yeah.
It's only
5 years ago.
Oh wow.
So Sparks, I talked to Sparks about this, and we've come to the conclusion that it's impossible to predict the dates of the Avengers films.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, Sparks?
We can no longer predict the timeline, like what year things are taking place in anymore. We can only say when things take place in relation to other things.
Yeah. And in this one being the case, this one takes place 2 months after Civil War, which we know for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it skips 8 years and probably puts Avengers in 2009.
Okay.
2008, 2009 territory. And then we get the Marvel logo, and that's really cool. Because it's done with the
start with the original Spider-Man theme for the 60s. That was really cool. That was a nice
That got my heart racing, I'm not gonna lie. It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh.
And then we get a film by Peter Parker, which is Peter Parker's view of Civil War.
Yeah.
And that was really cool to see. So, and then we get into the film. Spider-Man wants to be an Avenger. He wants more than what he's getting. He doesn't want to be in high school anymore. He wants to be doing what he's already doing. And everyone's kind of telling him, no, be a kid. Be a kid.
Which you should be a kid.
Yeah.
It's right.
And this was really great.
We're talking. The book club is Ultimate Spider-Man, which is teenage Peter Parker. And having read that and then seen this movie, I forgot how much I miss teenage Peter Parker. The last 10, 15, 20 years of regular Spider-Man, he hasn't been a teenager. Yeah,
he hasn't been a teenager our entire life.
Basically, yeah, you're right. Yeah, and that's the Peter Parker I grew up with. So seeing this again, I was like, oh my god, this is why everyone wants this version. Yeah, because it works. It's great. Tom Holland is so charismatic. I believe him in every single scene, and his Spider-Man is bar none the best Spider-Man, dude. I love this movie.
No, because for me growing up, I watched the old 90s cartoon, and Peter Parker wasn't really a teenager in that show, right?
That's why I said Peter Parker hasn't been a teenager our entire life.
Yeah, and then, of course, I get older, and I realize that when he becomes Spider-Man when he's 15 years old, and we get the Tobey Maguire films, he's an adult. We get the Andrew Garfield ones.
Quote-unquote adult, he's a teenager while being 30.
Yeah.
In the beginning, he's a teenager, but then it flashes to the future.
Yeah. And now we actually get once again, I also read the book club today before I saw the movie, and I'm thinking this is essentially what Peter Parker is supposed to be.
Well, that's what we wanted the Andrew Garfield one when they said they were going back to high school. That's where the best stories of Spider-Man are, when he's in high school. Because that's what we like to see. We like to see him be a high school kid dealing with high school problems while also trying to be Spider-Man, trying to be an Avenger, trying to do spider things.
Not trying to bring up the book club since we're going to talk about that later, obviously.
But they're bringing it up.
Just tiny little point, chill. There's this part in the book where he's constantly thinking about, oh God, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then there's this part in the movie where he's like, oh crap, oh wait, here, like the scene where he's like trying to run through the trees and he's trying to, or he's
this sucks.
Yeah, he's like, man, this sucks.
Right, there's Central Park no trees.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
go ahead, Sparks.
Yeah, it's in comparison to the previous films, it's interesting that we've had an origin story film twice, and this isn't technically an origin story film. And yet this is the one where Peter Parker is learning from failure the most. He's not just instantly good at using all his abilities and all his wits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that his suit, because I was a little bit worried about his suit being so high tech, the comparisons to Iron Man. I was happy to see that the suit was more of a hindrance than a strength.
It makes sense because that scene where he's like, all right, let's just unlock all my abilities, and there's 600 abilities or whatever, and he doesn't know how to use any of them. And it makes sense. It's like when you try to go study it's when you go take a test and you don't study, you're going to fail.
He falls flat on his face.
He fails so much trying to do his own thing, and it's like, no, dog, you gotta do it.
That robot AI, Karen, that he named, she's snarky and I love it.
So, he has a robot AI, much like Jarvis.
Yeah.
Actually married to Jarvis.
Yep, it's cute.
Karen...
Jennifer Connelly.
Karen Connelly. So he names her Karen, and she's his suit AI. And he's got a bunch of different web... what was cool about the suit is that we do get to see a lot of the different web shooters stuff we see in the comics.
Web grenades,
Yeah, we see a lot of that from the comics, so it was cool to see in this. And so this brought up actually some thing online that I wanted to get your opinion on real quick. We don't have to deal with we don't have to dwell on it. His spider sense.
Yeah.
I think he has it.
He does have
in the
it.
MCU.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he's dodging bullets.
Okay, so I saw Civil War again recently. He obviously has his spider sense. There's a part where he's facing Falcon, and then he says, "Oh God," his eyes widen, and he knows that Winter Soldier is throwing something at him from behind without.
And doesn't he duck?
He has spider sense,
Yes.
and he dodges it.
Yeah.
He has spider sense.
Yeah.
They're just not drawing the same attention to it that they did in the previous films.
So John Watts was kind of mum on it, which is why people were getting like,
Yeah.
They don't think he has spider sense, blah 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 blah. But Feige says he has it. Maybe it's not as well developed, and they didn't want to. And this is why I wanted to bring it up, because we talked last week a little bit about this, how Kevin Feige is so weary of doing things that other films have done. And this being the sixth Spider-Man film, there's clearly a lot of ground that they've already covered. And he, sometimes rightfully so, would probably not want to dive into some of the stuff that's already been dived into.
Yeah.
For example, Spider-Sense.
Yeah.
And so Spider-Sense has been such a huge part of all of the last 5 Spider-Man films. Maybe he just didn't want to highlight it in this one.
Yeah.
You know what? I never once thought of the spider sense. Never crossed my mind to seeing this movie, not once.
The only thing I can think of is he has he has a suit that's nothing but technology. It's not his suit. There's thousands of things he can do with it. They didn't want to add another thing. It's still science based, but adding spider sense, it almost makes it more mystical. Not that it's not, you know what I mean? Everything is so science-based. He has his tech suit. He's like a science character. And then adding like the crazy, like, whoa, something's happening is pushing it a little bit. Even though it's not, I think they didn't want to add too much to the suit. They want to focus on the suit.
No, I think that this film is a prime example of what we've talked about before. That Kevin Feige is always hesitant to deal with things that that other films have already done.
I want to be clear. I want to be clear, and then I want to move off this. He has spider sense in the movie. They just don't focus on it. But he has it. He has that ability.
Right. That's why I'm trying to move off of it, because we're all in agreement. But it's just move off of it. I think that this film is a classic example of what we talked about last week. That Feige is hesitant to do things that people have already done. But I don't think that's a problem.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Because I think that a lot of this film's strength comes from him not doing. It comes from John Watts not wanting to do things that the Amazing Spider-Man has done, or the Raimi Spider-Man films have done. being in high school. And some of the best parts of this film are when he's just in high school, being Peter Parker and wanting to be more. And I really believe the high school scenarios.
Yeah.
And I believe all of those kids are in high school.
Go ahead, Sparks. You go.
No, I agree. My hesitancy when I say that I'm nervous about them staying away from things I've been done in previous films isn't like in the way that films showed things, but like literally not touching themes or characters that the previous films did because the previous films did them. Like the Osborns, leaving them out makes me nervous.
I get that. I get that, but I don't think you need to. I would love to have the Norman Osborn building, like that'd be cool. I don't think this movie needed it.
No, I don't think this movie needed it. So I'm nervous about the future.
Oh, okay.
So I should be clear. I've been trying to segue into the supporting cast.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a hard segue. What do we think of the supporting cast?
Flash Thompson for life, dog. Flash drive car.
Yeah, I like Flash. I thought he was a really good 21st century bully.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a problem with any of these characters. At all. I like all the high school stuff more than I like the action scenes, to be honest, because it felt real. This Peter Parker was such a real teenager. Mm-hmm. All the chemistry so good. Like, Michelle just being snarky, like, that's the only thing. Like, she's just like, hey, I'm funny, and then, like, kind of walks by, and I'm like, I want to know more about her.
Yeah. She doesn't care about a lot of things.
She doesn't care about anything. She's a teenager.
Zendaya, Michelle, Liz Allen.
Liz Allen's great.
I think she was pretty great.
I like their awkward romance.
Liz Toombs, you mean?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. So the big reveal...
That was a great reveal.
Is that Adrian Toombs is Liz Allen's father.
That was so good. The entire audience gasped.
That audience, the air left the theater when that happened. And I remember when I was watching the movie the first time, he goes up to ring the doorbell.
Yep.
And right when he rings the doorbell, it kind of dawned on me that this is probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. And then he opens the door and there he is.
I didn't see it coming at all.
No, I was thinking that Liz was going to open the door and it was going to be like that slow scene like where everything like slow motion you zoom in on Peter's face and he's like,
I thought it was going to be
like
a classic
it was gonna be like
John Hughes.
classic John Hughes teenage
if it was
movie.
a supervillain movie.
Yeah, but no, the second Michael Keaton opened the door, I'm thinking, oh shit,
that's great.
So Michael Keaton, let's use that to talk about Michael Keaton. I thought he was really great.
I loved him.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved him in this movie.
We finally got another pretty good Marvel villain. It took a while. Took a while.
The most grounded Marvel villain in the films, I think.
I think he allows the stakes to be big while not being big. Like he's just a burglar, really. He himself is a menacing character, but he's trying to do the right. He's trying to just make a living with for his family. So he's not an evil person, which makes the stakes small. You don't need world-ending stakes.
No,
and that's the kind of message of the movie. Why can't he just be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
I think that kind of was the whole.
That's the message of the movie.
Yeah.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, that's great.
That's. He's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
He makes the stakes personal.
Yeah.
And that's so much more emotionally, has an emotional payoff.
Yeah.
Like when there is a big action scene.
I wasn't completely sold on Michael Keaton's character until the scene in the car.
Yeah, that car scene was a good scene. Amazing.
And the thing is, like, obviously bad guys are gonna be bad. Like in some motivations, like, oh, they're bad guys, whatever. But like, he really is like I don't have to kill you. If you go take my daughter out, show her a great time. Just don't ever talk about this, or I'll kill you. Yeah, he's a bad guy, but he still has morals. He still cares about his daughter enough to like let her go out with Spider-Man.
He chooses not to reveal Peter at the end.
Yeah. He is definitely a character. You believe that they've stayed under the radar for 8 years. Yeah. That you believe that they've been doing this for so long and that nobody's caught them, because he even gets mad at the first shocker. He's like, "Don't. This is why we stay under the radar. You don't shoot them out. You don't shoot the weapons out in public.
Yeah. You don't want the Avengers on our tails. Like we're
even Iron Man says. Even Iron Man says this is below our pay grade.
Yeah. Right.
Now, one of the things I really like about Vulture, Adrian Toombs, I really like the motivation that he has to just become to just burglarize stuff. I thought
you were gonna say a Birdman.
No, no, I wasn't gonna go that far. To just burglarize things, but also to see him still as like, hey, we're only doing this so we can keep our livelihood, so we can give good lives to our families. But if you threaten my family, you will die.
He wants to avoid collateral damage.
Yeah, he doesn't
he's
want.
A smart villain.
Yeah, he doesn't want to bring people into this. He wants just to do that. He wants to fly under the radar, pardon the pun.
He also doesn't mind killing someone accidentally and just ignoring it.
And then be like,
I thought this was the anti-gravity gun.
okay, that was funny.
It was.
I loved that little cut. And man, it's just once again that scene in the car where the wheels keep turning, where Liz is saying, "Yeah, you disappeared in D.C., you disappeared here," and he's just like, "Huh." You even see him hold a gun in his hand.
Yeah.
You never see the gun, but he's holding it. He takes
you
one.
do see the gun.
Well,
he pulls it into frame and puts it on the back of the seat.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
Not on the
He
back.
puts
He
it-
doesn't
he
put
does.
it on.
Yes, he does.
He does.
He puts
He
it.
does.
I thought it was like you see him take it out of the glove box and it's on the
He
front of
puts
the
it
seat.
like right on the
On the
put your
headrest?
head. Yeah, promise you.
You see the gun.
All right, well, I'm gonna see this movie again, so I could be wrong.
Um,
But still, it's like surprise.
Well, so what I really liked about this film, one of my favorite bits, comes from kind of the vulture, but real quick I want to talk about my ultimate favorite bit is when he's just kind of being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
That
When
montage?
The montage where he's saving people and making mistakes and stopping someone from robbing a car when it turns out it was actually his car.
And then there's like a four-way people yelling at him.
Yeah, he's just like, no, I'm sorry, I saw. And
It
you
was
see him make a mistake, and that's the Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, the Stanley cameo where it's
How's
like
your mother?
the classic New York. I don't know if it's called a stereotype where people just talk to each other from their windows.
Yeah, that was my favorite bit, but also what I really liked, and I didn't think about this the first time I saw it, but I really liked the second time I saw it, was when he's buried under the rubble.
That's
After
a really
the
good
vulture
scene.
gets, and he's crying, and he's trying to call for help.
I almost got emotional, guys.
Me too. I was thinking, wait, what's
Dude,
gonna happen?
because
Come
he's
on,
a kid.
Spider-Man! Come on, Spider-Man!
He calls
Because
himself
he's a
Spider-Man.
kid.
Yeah,
Because he's a kid.
he's a really
And
good
he's
actor, man.
He's under rubble in a building, and he can't get up, and he's a kid.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I really just sold it for me. And then he sees himself in the reflection. And by the way,
That was such a
nice,
good shot.
That-
way
oh.
of doing that classic two-way
Yeah.
shot.
Yep.
Classic split screen shot. And then he encouraged himself to get up because he is a superhero at the end of the day.
Mhm.
He is trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that.
You know what I also really liked? I liked how we saw a lot of Happy in this movie and not a lot of Tony Stark.
All of the Tony Stark bits were the trailer.
Yeah.
No, not
Well,
true.
except for the
not,
phone
not
call.
him in Out of the Country.
In the,
Which-
like,
oh,
the
that's right.
Indian scene or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
where
we
he's in India.
I mean, we do see the scene in the playground, but we don't see where he
Yeah.
is in the trailer.
But I really liked. Well, I'm an Iron Man apologist, but I actually think he was really well used in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
he was
I-
the father figure, and my favorite line in the movie. It's like, oh my god, I sound like my dad right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the realization. Like, he has become his father. It's because he cares about this kid so much, and he's pushing him away, but he's really like all that stuff. I love so much because he sees himself in Peter.
Yeah, I liked the Iron Man stuff, but I am always I'm a little weary that going forward, they may forego the Uncle Ben influence and just focus on the Iron Man influence.
I don't think so. I think after this movie, because Tony Stark's gonna be gone, so I think it was just for this movie. It was Homecoming. They needed a big character to be in this movie to get it going.
Mm-hmm. That's why.
Yeah.
There's no question that we know why he was in this movie.
No, yeah.
It was because
I don't. Also, I don't think you necessarily need a huge Uncle Ben influence because we know it. That's the thing. And they brought up and once the one line that brings up Uncle Ben is like, Aunt May's been through so much.
Yeah.
You can't tell her. That's all you need because every single person knows who the hell Uncle Ben is.
Mm-hmm.
We know Batman's parents were killed. We know who Spider-Man is.
Yeah.
Well, and May being upset when he didn't come home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to go back to because we didn't talk too much about this, and I want some stuff here. So we keep jumping around.
I love it.
But it's the supporting cast. I want to talk about the supporting cast because I truly think that they were believable and well used. But I do think that some people in the supporting cast were underutilized. Specifically, I actually think Aunt May was underutilized. Surprisingly so. I anticipated her to be a bigger part of this film.
I could have used more. But I don't think.
Also, they made her look older, which I thought was funny.
Did they?
Yeah, they
Oh,
made
yeah,
they
they
make her
kinda
look
did.
a little older.
They kind of did.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think she was in there just enough. Like, I would have loved more just because I love Marissa Tomei and she's super sassy. But I think she was in there just enough. And she ended the movie, so that's important.
Sorry, go on.
I don't know where I stand on that May. I like the bits with that May. I really enjoyed every time Marissa Tomei was on screen. I really did believe that she would, like, when she's calling up Peter, like, hey, cut the bullshit.
Yeah.
What are you really doing? And then you could see Peter's, like, she went from, like, stern parent mode to, okay, I get shit's going down. But that ending line where she finally catches Peter...
Let's not get there.
Oh, man. Okay, but so, I don't know if I can do with more Aunt May, less Aunt May. I mean,
I think it was perfect amount.
I liked what I saw.
There you go.
Okay, to be more clear, they just let Marissa Tomei look like what she looks like rather than putting her in a bunch of makeup to make her look young like they did in Civil War. And
She's an older lady.
And that works better. And because she just looks like a person rather than like a dolled up celebrity, which she kind of did in Civil War, which was part of my problem with her appearance in Civil War.
Well, she wanted to look good for Tony Stark, maybe.
But she didn't know Tony Stark was coming. That's weird.
Let's not get into this.
It's okay, relax.
So,
yeah, you're right.
So anyway, I think that May's in the movie just fine. I don't think she's underutilized because the thing is, you're talking about things that are comparing them to previous Spider-Man films. They've done a lot with May in previous Spider-Man films, and I think that they didn't want to retread too much of that. I felt like they gave her enough of a presence without retreading too much of that. And the thing is that they didn't want to have to so often do the same shtick of her having to not know he's Spider-Man that they've done in the previous films, which is one of the reasons I think the film ends the way it does, so they can give May more of a presence in later films in a different way than she's ever been before.
Yeah, I
believe that.
Yeah, and I personally, I think perfect amount, and I would rather have more Peter and his friends, because like you said, we've seen a lot in Aunt May of Peter in other movies.
Man in the chair.
Yeah, I
Ned's
liked
great.
Genki. I mean, Ned.
Yeah. Yo, man, in the Miles Morales comic book, like, they call him Ned. So, like, they're literally just taking it from the comic, so that's really funny.
I'm surprised
The
that...
current one?
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Ned found out as early as he did in the movie.
We found out in the trailer, dog.
Well, yeah, it was in the trailer, but that part of the trailer was, like, kind of, what, in the middle of the trailer?
I don't know. There's 4 different trailers.
That's true.
It kept the movie rolling along at a good pace. It's good that they did it. I liked it.
I like the chemistry a lot. They really feel believable as friends. They have a fun little handshake that was really cool.
Yep.
I love all his
Peter,
friendship, yeah.
Peter's a 15-year-old sophomore. We know it.
Yep, we know it.
Yep.
It's true. I predict 2 more Spider-Man films in high school.
I'd be cool with that.
That'd be cool.
I think he'll be like 25, but like I think Andrew Garfield was like 35, so like whatever. It's all good.
Yeah, I think they can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they keep setting, I mean, as we know, they don't care about the timeline as much as we do. They care about it more than Fox, but less than we do.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah, no, I think that
Happy Hogan was great.
Yep.
He's always funny. He's always great.
also really good in this. There's a really cool bit at the end where he's talking to Peter, and it's a really
in the bathroom.
It's a really cool. It's a really cool moment. You kind of get these moments where Happy is more grateful to Tony than he lets on a lot of the time.
Of course.
Like he really cares about Tony, and you kind of get that in Iron Man 3 a little bit when he feels a little bit betrayed, and then, but in this one you really get the sense of like, look, I really need this.
I wouldn't be anything without this guy.
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
To see.
Did you all catch the saddest line in the whole movie?
Which one?
Where Happy's talking about all the things that are being loaded into the plane, and he says the prototype for Cap's new shield.
No.
That means that Tony was building Cap a new shield before their fallout.
I did catch that. I was like, what? I saw that, and I was like, wait,
You think
prototype
it's
for Cap's new shield?
The thing that, like the hologram one?
Oh, maybe.
Like the cool... Oh, because he broke his shield, yeah. Oh, that's so
Well,
sweet.
he didn't break it. I mean, there was
No, the
a claw
shield's
mark.
still around.
But I mean, it's broken, though.
He has it. No, it's
Yeah.
not.
It's not. It didn't break in...
No.
Civil War?
No, there's
Oh.
just claw marks on it.
Oh, you're right.
But he was working on it before they fell apart.
That's cute.
Yeah.
He's
That's too bad.
He's a friend.
I
I thought all the supporting villains were also fun for a
Yeah.
little bit of time.
Yeah, I thought they utilized them well, because Scorpion's not a villain that needs... Not Scorpion, Shocker isn't a villain that needs
Both
a
of them.
movie. Oh, yeah, both of them.
Yeah, I think that one of the things with Shocker and Scorpion being introduced the way they are is that it really does feed to that thing I was talking about last week, where you don't need so much focus on those guys if you want to do a Sinister Six movie. Have minor villains like that, and I think this is a good build for that. Not that I want to jump too far ahead, I just think that this movie used them accurately. I liked the presence of the Shocker both versions, so...
Yeah.
With
Even with the yellow arm.
Crossbones gauntlets.
That's really
Yeah.
cool, man. That's such a cool element of...
You know what? That actually brings me to the biggest point that I think this movie plays to. It's one of its strengths is that it feels fresh. Feels like you can come into this movie having never seen an Avengers movie, but it firmly exists in the MCU.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It works like a true comic book movie. It exists in its comic book continuity, but it's never too weighed down by it.
Yeah. It really... It felt... I mean, like, these are all comic movies, but, like, Iron Man's here. You see Captain America. Sometimes you got all these random villains. You
Oh
have-
man, Captain America's cameos.
Oh, those.
Solid. It really felt like a true comic book movie. Like all the incorporations. Like this is how you do it, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Captain America cameos, I was so glad that they went back to have his Avengers 1 costume to imply he did that, like, right after, like, not long after the Battle of New York, when he was, like, they were just riding the high, that's when he did that kind of thing to be heroic.
Man, those are so good.
No.
Like, remember when the Jim Cheezer was just like, pretty sure this guy's a fugitive now.
He war criminal.
Pretty sure he's a war criminal.
So, fun fact about Hannibal Buress, that guy, that comedian, he went to the premiere as Spider-Man, or excuse me, he went to the premiere, he didn't go to the premiere, he paid an actor $500 who looks like him to go to the premiere, nobody didn't notice. People were interviewing this fake person saying, I'm Hannibal Buress, I love being in this movie. And Hannibal's just laughing on Twitter, dude.
That's great.
He's an amazing guy.
Oh, man.
He's amazing.
Yeah, it was funny.
I think, that to me is one of the best things about this movie, because you're always you're never really like looking for the connections. You see the Chitauri tech, you see the Ultron tech, you see
Ultron's head. That was a cool little surprise.
But you never see, like, it never feels like you have to know what happened in Avengers to know what's happened in this film. Like, I get it, like Civil War, you have to know this pretty heavily involved in the MCU. But Doctor Strange isn't, and Doctor Strange doesn't really reference outside of the MCU, outside of a mention of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Even Ant-Man does that. But this one it's everywhere, but it never hinders the story.
See, the thing that's different about this movie than the other ones is this is a street level big movie. So this is like the Daredevil of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it's, even though Spider-Man's a big character, he's starting small. Yeah. So you see them from the ground level, seeing the Avengers as the gods that they actually are, instead of seeing it from their perspective. So you see Tony Stark as this billionaire playboy, and when he's talking to Peter, Tony seems like an asshole, but he really does care.
Yeah.
And it's just because he's a 15-year-old teenager, he doesn't understand that.
I want to real quickly touch on something. Did we miss the presence of the Defenders? Like as people who've watched it all and wanted to see more connections, do we wish that there was a mention?
I kind of do. Just like maybe a sign somewhere that said, if you're in trouble, call Nelson and Murdoch. Maybe like a little tiny bus ad from Nelson and Murdoch. I mean, they
can't afford that.
Oh, yeah, right.
Apparently not. I mean, I don't know how much a bus ad
I think that it's fine, because this movie didn't really call for something like that. It didn't call for it in its time period. And this movie did a really heavy job of, except when it traveled really far away, it did a really heavy job of trying to stay in Queens.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I had to table, my bad. But one thing I actually did in the second end credit scene is where we see Adrian Toomes in jail.
There's only 2 end credit scenes. You're talking about the first
one.
The
first one, sorry. Where we see Adrian. Yeah, we wish. We see Adrian Toomes in jail, and we see the Scorpion and them talking. I was really hoping, this is actually from Sparks, his mention or his pitch that he had last week. I was really hoping that we would.
Oh, Fisk.
Yeah, we would see the Kingpin. We would see Fisk just behind bars, not talking to him, or he would just be like in the background, just watching this exchange between Scorpion and Vulture, just watching and thinking. That was the only thing I was hoping for. We didn't get it. We might. We don't know, but
I had a fun little thought. My gosh, how crazy would it be if we find out later that Avengers Tower was bought by Fisk?
Oh,
that'd be great.
See, that could even be just like an offhanded comment to mention Defenders, and you don't need to have them in. Like, have a Nelson and Murdoch say like, "Oh yeah, like you're not the first red guy I've seen in the city." That's all you gotta say.
Yeah,
but they won't.
No.
But why not? But why not just have a phrase?
Because Ike pro-mother.
I hate you, Ike. But you still, Netflix is great, but I hate you still.
Well,
we'll see what'll happen, but I think it would be really cool if, like, Fisk bought Avengers Tower.
That'd be pretty great.
Because, like, who did buy Avengers Tower?
Yeah, who could?
We don't know.
Who could, yeah.
Like, who could do it?
And then he turns it into Fisk Tower? I'd be so happy.
Oh, that's just like the greatest middle finger to the Avengers right there.
That'd be great.
I mean, but they wouldn't even know.
That's true.
Because it's
he's a legitimate businessman.
Yeah, they don't know about Wilson Fisk yet.
No. Spider-Man time.
I thought I didn't really miss it. Like, I thought about it afterwards. I was like, I could see where if they were gonna do it anywhere, this would probably be the film to do it.
Watching the film, the only time I thought about the Defenders or Kingpin was that first post-credits sequence between the Scorpion and Vulture. That was it.
So then let's get to the ending.
Yes, let's.
I thought it was a really strong ending. because he saves Toombs.
Yeah.
He does. We were saying earlier that we were really hoping that Vulture wasn't going to die. I was really hoping he wasn't. Like when his wings explode, I'm thinking, oh damn it, he's dead, isn't he?
And especially if he would have went out with that small explosion, I'm gonna wow, that was real weak. So I'm really glad that wasn't the end.
Yeah.
That would have been bad.
Before we get too far into it, I wanted to ask Ryan specifically. Hey Ryan, did those trailers ruin this movie for you?
No, and I specifically talked to the guys in the car about that. I was like, of course I gotta believe in Sparks and I gotta believe in Marvel, because I did not know the order of this movie, and it was 100% wrong. 100% wrong.
Remember when I said that I thought that I wanted to be proven wrong about this movie because of that trailer? Right. I am so happy I am.
Yeah, I thought things were the beginning, were the end. Like
I mean, it was the base storyline, but you know what? There was so much more that this movie offered, and that makes me happy.
You did good.
I like the little bit in the deli when he pets the cat and talks to the
Murphy.
deli.
I know, right?
Yeah. It's like, how's your daughter?
Oh, yeah.
He speaks in Italian. He's like, how's it? Because everyone has the hots for Aunt May. Everyone does.
They love her.
They larp her? Oh, that's pretty good.
Larp her?
Larb?
Yeah.
Is it larb?
Larb? I don't know.
I don't know.
The best character in the movie? Yeah, Spider-Man! Yeah! And then, yeah, Iron Man!
That guy was cool.
I got a great
I also
laugh.
like the guy at the street vendor who was just like,
you Spider-Man?
Yeah, Spider-Man, dude, from the YouTube.
Do a flip. That was so good.
Do a flip, Spider-Man. Do a flip, Spider-Man.
Oh, dude, that was great. I was talking to them in the car, Sparks, but like, this feels like this is sound weird, like a very 21st century movie. Like there's a lot of like YouTube, there's a lot of like video, like the kids. My favorite part really was the kids at school when they were doing their broadcast and it was like green screen.
Oh.
That was just so fun, and all the stuff in high school I really liked, and it felt
so
you
true.
could tell that was
like you said fresh. It feels like a fresh like new movie, even though it's Spider-Man who's 70 years old, whatever.
This is the sixth Spider-Man film, but it feels like it's the first.
Yeah, it really does. I think it's the best Spider-Man movie, personally. I don't know if it's the best out of all these.
Well, I was going to ask that at the end of the discussion, but
No.
sure,
Well,
why not?
No, well,
yeah.
we still got the
I'm
ending
just,
to talk about.
throwing things out there.
Like we've got the part where he's talking to Liz, which I'm actually glad that because it's obvious that she likes Peter back, and of course Peter keeps blowing her off throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Wow, Sparks, are you okay?
Go. Yeah, I just remembered something, but go.
Okay. But yeah, he's blowing off Liz like, hey, I got this. And then he's finally at the dance. And I think during the trailer there's a scene where Peter goes in for a kiss or something.
I could have.
They said they cut a kiss scene from the movie.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
But yeah, he goes straight to Liz, and and this is after the talk that he's had in the car with Vulture, and he's like, "No, you deserve better than this." And he runs, gets his old suit, and then of course Ned, he uses the web shooter. He gets involved.
That scene where they're in the house is one of the most tense scenes I've ever seen in a comedy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's not really overly comedic. I want to touch on that too. It's not overly comedic. Like the comedy doesn't come from stupid jokes. It comes from situations that like they find themselves in and making light of.
But I still think this is a really funny movie.
Oh, it's hilarious.
It's definitely more comedy than any of the other ones for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Thor: The Dark World is more comedic.
No, I'm sorry, I meant Spider-Man movies.
Oh, Spider-Man movies.
This is definitely the most quippy. He was quipping non-stop, and I'm like, thank you. It's all I want.
Well, because when I said a little bit in Civil War, you know, when Civil War came out, I was saying that they really got to the heart of Spider-Man, especially when he's this young. He quips because he's a nervous teenage boy and doesn't know what he's doing.
That's how he battles.
Yeah, like in Civil War.
He quips because he tries to make the people he's fighting believe that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
when he
and
really doesn't.
Like when Falcon's fighting, is like I don't know if you've never been in a fight before, kid, but there's usually not this much talking.
Yeah.
And of course, in this one, did you guys catch the line where he's like, "Hey, Thor, Hulk, nice to finally meet you," when he's fighting the bank robbers?
Yeah.
What did you remember, Sparks? Go back to that.
Oh, do you guys know who the principal was?
Yeah. He was the son of the Howling Commandos. Same actor, but he was playing the son, right?
Right, or like grandson or something, because he has the picture of him in the office
of the Howling Commando.
Yeah, because I love
that.
I saw the actor's like, hey, the actor looks very familiar, and then I saw the photo. I was like, I know you now.
I saw you in a movie once.
That was a great cut. I like that.
It's my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. All right, so let's get to the end.
Yes, we know First Avengers is your favorite, buddy.
And one of the things that I want to touch on, because we've talked at length about how much we like this movie, and we will always talk about at length about how much we like this movie, and let's get to, is there anything we didn't like? Like, let's not dig deep, but like things that we...
Okay, you go first.
I honestly, I only have one minor complaint, which will be the last thing we probably talk about because we've talked about it before. I really have no complaints about this movie. I really thought it was almost a perfect summer blockbuster. Almost. Like,
Do you remember the guy the mascot who keeps running in the background?
Yeah. Dude, like,
what was that for?
It's just for fun.
Just
Like,
fun.
That was.
I was thoroughly entertained the entire way. Like, I really, up until like the one thing at the end, like I really have no problems.
Yeah.
The only thing.
Oh, the Washington Monument Day was so good.
That was such a good sequence. The only thing that I was going to say that was my one tiny little nitpick was the 8 years later. But then, of course, now we don't know what the timeline is.
But even so, that's
but
not
even
really
then, that's not that.
story.
Once again, that's not a big thing. I saw
has
that.
nothing to do with the story,
Yeah, that
truthfully.
pops up, and then you want to know, 10 seconds later, I give no more Fs.
I personally didn't even think about it until you brought it up.
You know what?
I give no
it
more
might
Fs.
be. It also I was thinking about this. I was talking to someone else. It also might be to reconcile a new continuity problem that they've created for themselves.
Probably.
Which is the kid in Iron Man 2 as Peter Parker.
Oh yeah, that.
I can be without that one. That's fine.
And he was 8 years old, so 8 years later.
16, 15, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Are we gonna talk about the MJ drop now?
Well, no.
Because I don't. Because
Well, hold on, let's.
Okay.
That's my complaint. So let's get through the other
Okay.
ones. So
Sparks, well, real quick, my complaints really
Yeah.
small. I think there's some pacing issues between set pieces, but not truthfully like enough to hinder the film. But I do think they're there. Sparks, your little problem.
I don't really have major complaints. Most of my things are nervousness about movies to come.
Yeah, we talked about this before.
Like things that happen in this film, and what it means for films to come. I'm nervous about what that means. So that's more what it's about.
Yeah, I think that this film, I think coming out of this film, I wasn't as excited for the future, knowing what Sony already had planned for the Spider-Man mythos.
Yeah.
And I wish that and I talked to Sparks a bit about this, I wish that if Sony hadn't made their plans, I think I would be way more excited for the future of this franchise.
Right.
I'll put this one here now. This isn't a complaint about this movie, but I hope that in future Spider-Man films we see Peter Parker be a little bit more of the science genius he is, just a little. And I hope he ultimately winds up relying less and less on Stark tech.
Yeah.
So there were more than the other movies references of him making his own web fluid in class and stuff.
Yeah, that
like
was
he
cool.
has stashes at class or at school that he uses multiple
He
times.
just lifts up an entire thing of lockers.
So I do agree, but I think they set the basis for like to show you he is a smart kid.
Yeah.
But like I would like to see more of that too, for sure.
That's why I'm saying it's not a complaint about film. These are things that I'm nervous about them keeping, like bringing up more in the future.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, let's talk about that one little problem we have.
It's just so weird because we don't know the state of this character. So it's MJ, Mary Jane Watson. There's a character in this movie called Michelle.
Michelle,
and she's only called Michelle once at near the end, and then my friends call me MJ, kind of random.
I thought they called her Michelle like once.
I didn't hear her name once except
they
there's
do
a
call
few-
her Michelle.
Okay, my bad. Okay,
Yeah,
but
there's a few times.
so her name's Michelle, but at the end she goes, "Oh, my friends call me MJ." And she doesn't have friends, is the joke.
Her name is Michelle Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
So the problem we have here is they kind of come out and said like, "Oh, this isn't the real Mary Jane Watson." Sure. So are you telling me the next movie we're gonna have two MJs?
Was this a throwaway line?
Or was this just a throwaway line where she's not MJ? Like it's weird, and I don't think they needed to do this at all because it reminds me of The Dark Knight Rises with Robin.
Yeah.
And I think it's a throwaway line for the general audience. Oh, it's MJ, ha ha ha. For us, it just adds confusion.
Mm-hmm.
I took the MJ line as it was kind of like what a little thing with the Dark Knight did is because obviously we didn't see Gwen Stacy. I was kind of hoping someone would drop, "Hey Gwen, what are you doing over here?" Or
really one of the girl from the
We
Nice
thought
Guys to be
everyone
Gwen
might
thought,
have
Stacy.
yeah,
been here by now.
but she's not.
Betty Brant.
But I thought the MJ line was just now like, okay, people want some little reference of MJ. Here's your tiny little thing of MJ. The real Mary Jane is out here in the universe. It might be coming, but what I'm scared about, because I know people who do this, they will take that MJ line, they will take it as holy writ, and they will start blabbing all over the interwebs saying she's the quote-unquote Mary Jane Watson. Mary Jane Watson no longer exists. This Michelle Jones is the new MJ, blah, blah, blah.
This feels like a Kevin Feige, Amy Pascal situation.
And yet, of course, maybe later on in a movie, we're gonna get a girl who is gonna play Mary Jane Watson and look at Peter and say, "Phase of Tiger, you just hit the jackpot.
Well,
I want that line in the movie."
Well, this character
is nothing like a Mary Jane.
No Mary Jane, not even the Ultimate Mary Jane, which was different than the 616 Mary Jane. She's very different than both. And Sparks, you put it better. How you wish that they would build up her character a bit more.
Okay, so it's that this character, like, I liked Michelle in this movie, but she wasn't like a well built like character.
She was just snarky.
for this moment to matter. And this moment, the way the film presents this moment feels like a moment where it's supposed to make the audience go, oh, you know, and that doesn't land with me. It feels more like kind of a gotcha moment, like oh, made you look kind of thing, and I don't like that feeling. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth after a really good film, and I didn't like that. I have no problem with them. Here's the thing: I have no problem with them not. I'm not gonna say that. I don't. It's not that I don't have a problem with them not doing Mary Jane. I would prefer that they did Mary Jane. I would prefer that Mary Jane showed up. But if they decided they weren't going to, I have no problem with Michelle taking on that role. I have no problem with them even calling her MJ if they want to be cute about it. The thing is that it feels like they don't know. It feels like they're kind of unsure, or if they are sure, they're certainly not making it clear to us. And it feels like this was just kind of done as a, who knows? Hey, there's a.
It feels like they're testing the waters to see the reaction.
I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. I wish that they just had. I don't like the presentation.
I wish they would have committed, basically. Yeah.
Actually, Sparks, yes. I just thought of something. So say that MJ as Michelle Jones. What if Michelle Jones
Jessica Jones's niece? Not true at all.
No. What if Michelle becomes the Gwen Stacy of this universe, and then she's actually friends with Mary Jane, sorry. And then when Mary Jane and Pierre get together, she's like, "Hey, you could call me MJ." Pierre like freezes up a little bit. He's like, "Huh? An old friend of mine wanted me to call her MJ." I don't know. Just something.
It feels like a two Wally West situation.
It could be a Wally West situation. That's just a thought that ran through my head.
No, yeah, I getcha.
I mean, if it does happen like that, that's their choice. If it doesn't, once again, their choice.
This is really the only problem I have, and it's at the literally at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
and he's right. It's like, oh, everything goes great until this one kind of thing that's weird.
I just felt it
is something that leaves a bad taste in your mouth after a really good movie.
Yeah. I just felt it as a throwaway line.
It just feels like a trip. Like the movie's going really smoothly, and then it trips for a second there. And it's all about the delivery and the presentation and the way they've shown the character throughout the film. This moment just didn't play the way that it feels like they wanted it to. It just feels like something that's kind of frustrating. And I would agree with you, Ryan, that like it's for the general audience. But I saw this with people who aren't major comic book fans, and even they know who like MJ is supposed to be, and even they were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Because even the general audience has seen the Raimi films.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, because even the general audience is, if you're aware of Spider-Man and you're going to a Spider-Man movie, you know that Spider-Man's love interest is Mary Jane, because Spider-Man, Peter Parker and Mary Jane are the most famous romantic relationship in the Marvel Universe, period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. True that.
And playing with that with the audience feels a little funky to me.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
Let's talk about another relationship real quick before we get into our final thoughts. So the Russo brothers broke up. Pepper Potts and Tony Stark.
I thought you meant the Russo brothers broke up. Is this news?
No, I was scared. I almost had a heart attack.
Crying,
so the Russo brothers broke up. Pepper Potts and Tony Stark.
Yep.
John Watts put them back together 2 months later.
Yeah. You know what? Fine.
I thought that was funny.
I liked when
on and off again. That's their relationship.
That suit. I love that suit.
Oh, the Iron Spider.
The quote-unquote Iron Spider suit, yeah.
What were you going to say?
I think the end of the film is about 4 months in, I'm going to say, yeah. or maybe even 3, because Homecoming usually happens around September, October, early October.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that it's about 4 months in, and I think that it works really well, because I think that, Pepper would go to Tony after what just happened to him in Civil War.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the other reason is because you kind of need that relationship addressed and established if you're going to take Tony into a story that we think that they're going to in the next Avengers films.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was just saying, I just thought it was funny.
It was a nice surprise.
And then there was a fun little bit where he was like, "Do you have the ring?" And he's like, "I've been holding this since 2008."
And they're just
everyone just kind of looks at him like,
ew.
"Why?"
That's cute, though.
This has been in my pocket since 2008. Wait,
Brandon, you bring up an excellent point right there, though. He says he's been holding in his pocket since 2008.
That's Iron Man.
So what was in 2008? Wouldn't that have been Iron Man 2?
No, it's Iron Man 1.
Iron Man 1? Wait, but wouldn't that now be Avengers?
That's the thing. That's where the timeline gets messed up. We were talking, and we assumed that Iron Man was in 2008.
Well,
and
we know.
Avengers, and Avengers was in 2009, even though it came out later.
2012. Yeah.
Wait, Iron Man came out in 2008?
Yeah, that's the first one, dog.
Oh yeah, it did.
The
So we
franchise started in 2008.
So we just assume it's 1 year later for Avengers, even though it took 4 years to get made.
Well, because we've said this before, they consider Incredible Hulk, Thor, and Iron Man 2 to take place within a week.
Yeah.
The great superhero debate.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, I just assume it's.
So
like
no
1 year
matter
later.
what, 2008 is the start of this franchise.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So and they even released their first timeline, which was 2008, is before I Am Iron Man. It was like the whole thing. So I
Before Iron Man, after Iron Man. Yeah.
don't know. The timeline's messed up, but not as messed up as Fox. It's just kind of like linear but slower, I
Yeah.
guess is.
Linear but slower. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like comics.
That's comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we think about the post-credit sequence? My favorite post-credit sequence in a Marvel film, I think.
I was sitting there wondering what he was going on about, and of course, like sitting here for this
man.
long, only to
Patience.
be disappointed, thinking, "Oh no!"
It's
And
not-
then it stops and it cuts. And I'm
It's
thinking,
the final Captain America cameo, and I was very happy to see it.
It was really good.
It was very good.
And like,
How many more of these do I have to do?
that's man, yeah. Yeah, that first one with that's like Sinister Six setup. I'm like, that's a kind of a weak one, kinda, but it was cool to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Captain American one is just gold. It's gold.
Yeah.
How many do I have to do?
I actually thought that the first post credits one with them in the prison was perfect
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
it acknowledges something you kind of want acknowledged, which is, well, Toomes knows who Spider-Man is.
Mhm.
Is he gonna tell or no? And it takes care of that right away. And it does loosely set up like the possibility of things happening in a sequel, but not necessarily like directly pointing at it because we're a while away from it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So the final thoughts.
Movie's great. 10 out of 10. We'll watch again.
Well, I didn't say rate it.
Well, no, that wasn't my rating. You know how the joke is.
Yeah, no, Ryan.
I
Ryan,
got you.
6 out of 10. Read it again. Ryan.
Yo, man, I was scared, kind of like Guardians, that I overhyped this movie. But this movie did everything I wanted to do, and it did things I didn't want it to do, and I definitely got emotional in parts I didn't expect, and I'm glad my boy Iron Man, he was cool, and I liked it a whole lot.
Yeah, for my final thoughts, it was truly the film I expected it to be, and I'm very happy I got it. Sparks.
Somebody tweeted that this movie had Mark Bagley and Brian Michael Bendis, who did Ultimate Spider-Man, like plastered all over it in the DNA like a Jackson Pollock painting.
Yeah.
And having seen the movie, I have to completely agree with that. This is in every way the movie that I wanted. And it's one of those things where like you're really happy because you got exactly what you wanted, and now you're terrified that somebody's going to come along and mess it up because it's exactly what you wanted. So like I loved this movie, but I'm super, super nervous about the rest of them now.
Yeah.
I'm so on pins and needles that it's going to get screwed up now.
So what would we rate it?
Before that, sorry. So is it the same situation for the next Spider-Man movie that it's going to be creative Marvel and just Sony's going to make it?
Yeah.
It's exact same. So
But we don't know if Watts is coming back to direct.
That's yeah. They just announced that.
And there are 6 writers on this film. Who knows how many of them are coming
But dude,
back.
the main guy was John Francis Daley, and that dude is truly gifted. He is really, really funny. He's written a lot of really good comedies. And if they just stick with him, you can have 6 writers. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think most of that was just for punch up and stuff. I would give this movie like 1,000 out of 10.
Honestly, I don't remember the last time I saw a movie this good that had 6 writers.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Aliens wasn't that good and had 6 writers.
No.
What would we rate it? What would we rate it?
I don't want to give it a 10, but like my hype level was like when that movie was over, I was so ready to just watch it again, and that doesn't happen often. So I would give it like a 9.5. I love it.
No, I gotta disagree with you, buddy. I think it's a 10.
That's dude, 9.5 and 10. Those are both great.
This is honestly, to me, is the one little thing that did bother me was maybe the time thing. Once again, don't care anymore.
Yeah,
and
okay.
even the MJ.
It's not a problem with the movie.
Exactly.
I keep telling you that. It's not a problem with the movie. It's just a problem with
the
the
timeline.
MCU.
But still, maybe like the one thing I can think of was the MJ line. But other than that, everything else, just there's so much good compared to one tiny little nitpick. No, this movie's a 10. I enjoyed it. I will definitely do want to see this movie again.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with paying money to see this movie once, maybe twice more in theaters.
Speed of me.
8.5.
It's a good score still.
Sparks?
I'm overprotective of Spider-Man stuff, so it's really hard to have something come along that does. Okay, so like it does everything that I wanted to do in light of the fact that there were certain things I wasn't expecting because they've already been done in previous Spider-Man films. Otherwise, I would have wanted them in this movie. but I know why they aren't there, and I'm fine with it, and I think the movie works great without them. I'm so terrified that things are going to go wrong from here. But for this movie by itself, it's a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it.
I mean,
Good all
who
around,
knows?
good all
If I
around.
do see this again, I could probably say, maybe give it a 9. But once again,
You feel what you feel, Bo?
I've only seen this movie once, so
I've come to the realization that all four of us have different measurements for
Yeah.
ratings, and that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. So now that a good comic book movie has come out this year, what's the best comic book movie of the year?
Well, I really quickly want to ask: do we like this better than Spider-Man 2?
I
do.
I
I
do.
just want to be clear. I do.
My gut reaction is yes.
As much as I love Spider-Man 2, I like this a lot more.
My gut reaction is yes, but I have to rewatch it because I really like the second one.
I have to quantify that. I feel like I see them differently. I think Spider-Man 2 is designed as a love letter to Spider-Man, and especially Spider-Man of a certain time period. And
Just burped in my
I
face.
think. What?
I
Nothing.
just burped in my face.
No, it did not.
It's fine. Go ahead.
I think that this just truly this got Peter Parker right in a way that none of the other Spider-Man films have. So for me, this movie is the Peter Parker movie. But I do still feel like Spider-Man 2 is a love letter to Spider-Man that this movie couldn't quite be because of previous Spider-Man films having existed. But I think it is a love letter to Peter Parker. And so I kind of look at them differently. I'd have to watch Spider-Man 2 again, and I'd probably have to watch this again to say for sure. I
Yeah.
kind of see them differently. I don't know that I'd say it's better than Spider-Man 2, but it's certainly the really, 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 really close.
Well, we can all agree that Tom Holland is the definitive Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And I rank this, I'll say that right now, I rank this number 2 in the total Marvel Cinematic Universe for myself.
Wow.
This is definitely up there for me. Absolutely.
Right. All right. Well, let's get into our book club. Sparks, take it away.